So the point is, removing trade tariffs with China is not going to address the fundamental issues of inflation.
Thank you, Chris, for bringing us back on the rails.
That's what the show is all about. What is very interesting about this, though, is like all of the labor unions are like telling Biden, don't do this.
Don't take the tariffs off?
Don't take the tariffs off. And this is where, like, politics gets really weird because, this is all about, the American workers, in labor unions. Like these are the people that Democrats usually say like they're the party of.
Yeah, but remember, like when Clinton wanted China to join the World Trade Organization 2 decades ago, like it was a lot of labor unions were opposed to that too, because they saw what was going to come, and they were reassured, of course, by the Clinton administration this was not going to happen. But the workers are like, yeah, you open this up to China, and we're going to lose our jobs. And Bill Clinton, in his very charming way, was like, don't worry about it because we're going to be selling more to China than we're going to be buying from China.
Oh boy, was that wrong. Everything he said was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that U.S. corporations didn't also want to sell stuff to China. They did. But it's just that they wanted to buy cheap from China and sell American stuff to China. That's what the U.S. corporations wanted. What the Chinese Communist Party wanted was to sell stuff to America
and get American companies to come to China and steal their stuff.
Steal their stuff.
Right. They had very little interest in buying American things.
Communist bandits. That's a great term we need to use more.
Where did that come from? I feel like
I think it was something Chiang Kai-shek referred to the communist bandits a lot. I forget where the term actually originated from, but yeah, like that's a term we need to bring back. Communist bandits. I want to see that on Twitter a lot more.
I think that YouTube was censoring that term or something a while ago.
Oh yeah, there was
comment
something
section
weird
where people were trying to type it in Chinese and people were getting.
Yeah, it was in Chinese or something.
Yeah,
communist bandits.
But at any rate, like the labor unions were right in the 90s that this was going to be bad, and then it got bad, and then Trump, like ironically, it's Trump who was like, we're going to put the tariffs on China, and then actually it helped to some degree. I mean, at the same time, employment went up in the U.S. and it's complicated, and you can't say it was just Trump's doing with the tariffs, but like that was one factor, and then weirdly now it's Biden who wants to remove them. But like
I don't think the Biden administration would be talking about it now, though, if it weren't for the inflation.
Yeah.
Because I think there's been a lot of pressure on the Biden administration to remove the tariffs from
the Wall Street, Jeff Bezos.
People who want to do business in China. But they've so far held off.
They've always been the whole China policy has been very wishy-washy. Like he never said what he wanted to do with the tariffs in the campaign trail. And then,
I mean, I don't think he could have in the campaign trail because that would be like
ambiguity.
Well, it would be like saying that Trump was right about something. And, if you're running against Trump, that's not something you want to say.
God forbid politics is like, we're all Americans. This guy has some good ideas, but, we can all work together.
It's like what Elon Musk said recently on Twitter, that he was thinking about founding a like centrist moderate PAC that just supports centrist moderate candidates from any party.
What a far right white supremacist.
Just like Andrew Yang,
biggest white supremacist there is. Well, next to like Larry Elder.
I was going to say Tulsi Gabbard.
Larry, was she ever called a white supremacist? I thought it was funnier when Larry Elder, a conservative black
gubernatorial
politician, was called the black face of white supremacy by the Los Angeles Times.
We live in clown world.
Okay. Well, anyway,
so get us back on the rails, Shelley.
Well, that was related to the rails because it's
related
to the rails. You heard it
on
first.
The rails.
It's adjacent to the rails.
Adjacent.
It's next to the rails. Okay.
Yeah, rail adjacent.
Okay. Because it's related to the rails because
the idea is like the Biden administration is really talking about getting rid of some tariffs, and they're framing it as like these irresponsible Trump tariffs because that's the way you sell something.
They'll keep the responsible Trump tariffs.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Well, I think it's also interesting because you brought up Bill Clinton and the whole WTO thing, Matt, and I think basically there was just a lot of trust that the WTO could reign in China, right? That if China really wanted to join the WTO, then the WTO could make sure that there was a fair playing field for all the companies going into
China would
China.
follow the rules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
instead, what did China do? The Chinese Communist Party just took over the World Trade Organization.
Just
so
like
they,
did the WHO.
and the UN. So there's just the idea that we can somehow get the Communist Party to normalize under the rules of the international order is
I
just
mean,
laughable.
Like you talk about the WTO, the WHO, and really China's dominating the WTF.
I felt like it was going somewhere.
That went somewhere.
Yeah, okay. It did go somewhere.
I thought that
Thanks,
was
Chris.
thought that was good. Anything more to say about tariffs, inflation?
More yelling, Matt.
Yeah, no, I don't think I'm going to do any more yelling, but I will say that we'd be better off economically bringing jobs back to the U.S. from overseas, including China, but also including other, developing nations. And if we were to do that, the inflationary pressure wouldn't be as bad because you would, even if inflation continues, you'd have wages keep up when you have more manufacturing here. So I think if the Biden administration is thinking long term, it's less politically savvy, but certainly more economically apt to focus on private U.S. manufacturing coming back to the U.S. and supporting small business and competition in the U.S. To just basically help the employment market.